Hello. Hello. I still want to say good morning, but good afternoon. Glad you could join us. We're still working on this sweatshirt jacket, my patriotic one. I'd hope to have everything made so that I could show you how to put it together. But life kind of happened over the last couple of days. Whoops, I do have quite a bit done, and I am going to show you how to put some more of it together. I've got, sorry, I have the other braid border done for the sleeve. I think I showed you my little star hexies. I've got the 2 Lemoyne stars done. And I know where I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to put them. Got the Ohio stars done. Really like the way that came out. And I got my grid done. So, and of course, you saw the one sleeve. It's ready to be quilted. I've got it all basted down all around the edges. We'll give it a good pressing, and then I'm going to quilt it. And I've got the part of the back. I keep getting myself wrapped up in cords. I've got that part done. And I think at some point today, we'll start filling the rest of it out. But I need to get a few more blocks made. So I have, I'm working on the migrating geese. And I have my everything cut for my spiked border and everything cut for my log cabin blocks. So we'll work a little bit more on those, and then we'll start putting the whole thing together. So I wanted to do the migrating geese. I think I've done them before on this show, but I wanted to show how you join it at the top when you want to make it longer than just the one section. So we'll work on that. I don't know. Hi, Maria. I think I can manage this one without. And for those of you who might be new, we're easy piecing design. Excuse me. Designs and manufactures these leave-in foundations. And it's the same process as traditional paper piecing, but it's much easier. This is great to work with. It is a fabric. It's a non-woven fabric, so it won't allow your bias edges to stretch. Keeps your blocks all perfect size. They come pre-printed. You can either buy patterns that have all the foundations you need to make the project, or you can buy block packages. and make your own designs. You can buy refill packages. If you've made a pattern, keep your instructions and then just order the refill package. That is just the foundation blocks. But every package comes with cutting instructions, so you don't have to guess what size to cut your pieces. That was always very frustrating for me when I was paper piecing. If you're ever in doubt how to place a piece of fabric, like this triangle here, just set it so it covers the section that you need to cover and just flip it over, right edges together. And again, I'm putting a light fabric over the dark fabric, so I match the edges and I push it forward a couple of threads. Remember on this, it's the line that gives you the accuracy, not the perfect cut and the perfect 1/4 inch seam. It's the line that gives you the perfection. So you can push this forward a little bit. There's ample space or size with our cut pieces. And then it's just stitch on the line. You want to use a regular stitch length, whatever stitch length you use in your normal piecing. Is what we use here. Whoops, I missed my garbage can. Yeah, the jacket I did with the batiks, I did finish that. It's quilted, bound, quilted, assembled, and bound. Yeah, it's all done. I'm looking at it across the room. It's all done. And I really love the way it came out. Okay, number 5 is here. This is where I'm going to sew the next piece on, so we'll fold this back. And I've got, like I say, I have all my pieces stacked up in order. So I can just sew and I can talk. Or I could watch TV if I was home. Yeah, I'll grab the jacket in a minute. Let me, whoops, take you off the holder. See, we'll set that down. I don't want to unplug it. My phone might die. Anyway, get a blurry picture there. So this is it. And I'll back up so you can see it. Guess this is That's the front. And the sleeves. And this is the lining. Isn't that wild? I like to do a silky kind of lining because it makes it easier to slip the jacket on and off. And it doesn't make it too bulky. And then this is the back. But I'm very pleased with how it came out. So I will be taking this one to the shows to show off, give you some ideas. And let's see, I got this one stitched on. So that's that one. The patriotic one is, it's not going to be, the blocks are laid out much differently. This, you can see this is one of the sleeves, which is very different than the other one. That's why I'm calling it Sweatshirt Artwork, because you get to make up where you want all the different blocks to be. The package includes 2 strips of the braid border, and that's the only block I used on the sleeve. All of the rest of this is just kind of made up as I went. You know, the stripes, and I wanted my cuffs to be dark, so I put the dark at the bottom. I made up these 2, and then I added a little border to make them, these finish at 4 inches. I wanted it a little bigger, so I just added a border around it to make it finish at 6. These are the hexagons, and I fussy cut. I'm going to make another strip just like this, and then it's going to go on a white background. It won't be quite that wide, but it'll go on the white background, and then it's going to be like at the shoulder, from like just below the neckline down over the shoulder. And I thought I would embellish this a little bit. I thought it looked like a general's jacket or whatever, I don't know, but I thought that would be kind of fun. So I'm going to make another one, so both shoulders will have this. This is the other braid border for the other sleeve. And then there's 2 Ohio star blocks. I am going to be putting both of these on one front, the side, and do some other stuff around it. I haven't figured out what I'm going to fill it in with. This is going to be on the other side front. And then across the shoulders, or the yoke in the back above that, I believe I am doing the spiked border. It'll take, I think, 2, maybe a little bit more than 2 strips of the spiked border. And then for the yoke on both fronts, the upper part of the front, I'm going to have log cabin blocks. And I think that's pretty much everything I'm going to use. So I'm going to show you, I want to show you how to put this all together after you get your blocks made. And it's taking me a little bit longer to get these done. We had doctor's appointments yesterday out of town, so I didn't get to work as much as I thought I was going to. We had a few things we didn't plan on with doctors yesterday, so So I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. I wanted to have all the blocks done so then I could show you how I play around and decide how I'm going to do it. But we'll get there. Sometimes you just got to let life happen. Nothing bad happened, so that was good. And this little background, these are little metallic stars, and I don't even know where this fabric came from, but it was in the drawer with all the patriotic fabrics. So I thought, it's silver and gold, so I thought, oh, let's just alternate the background, one silver, one gold. Something a little different. So I don't really, in the pattern for the jackets, it shows you how to disassemble both a raglan sleeve sweatshirt and a set-in sleeve sweatshirt. And then it has instructions for how to make all the blocks. And then I took pictures and walked through how I set that first one, the batik one, how I determined where I was going to put what and how to do it and how to fill in. That jacket is a medium. This patriotic one is a large. Or I actually started with an extra large. So it's bigger. So if you did the same layout on both jackets, the extra large sweatshirt would have to have more filler, to fill in to adjust for the larger size. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys a little bit later today, how I do that. And then that way you can make your own design, your own layout. That's why I thought if I had all the blocks made, I could show you how to play around with it to get, a layout that you like. And I don't sew a lot at home. By the time I go home at night, I'm tired. But sometimes I will sew. That's where I kind of do my hexies. My husband is doing pretty well. Last week he got a shot. It's a shot he gets every 6 months. And this time he kind of had a reaction to it. So that's why we spent a little more time at the doctor's yesterday. They wanted to make sure everything was okay. And it is. It will eventually, the side effects will eventually wear off. So he's doing physical therapy. So we have one more big test to do. And that's coming up in a week or two. So all in all, it's pretty good. We're getting there. I'm trying to figure out how I can do shows by myself. So I'm going to do a smaller booth, but I'll have the same amount of stuff in the, I'll have the same amount of stuff. It's just trying to figure out how to display it all in a smaller booth, but I'm getting there. I'm figuring things out slowly but surely. I told him he could go with me if he wants, but if he wants to stay home, that's okay too. I won't be mad. I'll miss him, but But I understand it's hard for him to get around yet, so I thank you. I think this might be kind of cool looking. I'll have to figure out, as I'm making this, I'm thinking, where am I going to put this? But I think I know. I think it's going to go along with the grid on one side. I kind of like to use the grid more as a filler than a focal point. So I get tired of just filling in with just plain fabrics. So by having the grid, that's a nice chunk of fabric to use as a filler. And this is actual wearable art that you would actually wear. You know, you gotta, at the quilt shows, a lot of times you see in the wearable art section, you'll see some exotic garments, but I'm not sure I'd feel comfortable wearing them. I wear these jackets, sweatshirts that I make. I love them. I started to say at home, I'm so excited. I think I mentioned a couple of times I had some crazy quilt blocks that I had made using a kind of a modern Asian fabric. And so the other day I pulled them out and I found, I think it was 8 of them. And I thought, oh, with a little filler, and I found the same line of fabric in my storage. And I went to look for something else, and I found a bunch more, the same quilt block, same fabrics. So I have and it's mostly pastels, and I found a sweatshirt. Of course, you're not going to see the color of the sweatshirt anyway, but it's a little, I don't know why, but it seems a little, the sweatshirt, I took it apart, and it seems a little short, and I'm not going to add any length to it. I'm going to make it kind of bomber jacket style. It'll have elastic at the waistline. And I'm excited to get, so that's what I've been working on up at home. The whole thing, no filler. It's all, well, there may be a few little pieces of filler here and there, but I have enough blocks to cover the whole jacket, so I'm really excited about that one. I don't know where you guys are, what your weather's like, but I thought Memorial Day was supposed to signify, well, besides the real reason we celebrate Memorial Day, but I thought it kind of was the beginning of summer. And our weather's just gotten worse and worse. We had rain today. It's cold, damp. Kind of miserable. Great day to stay in and sew. And even if I'm not doing a live, Bob and I were talking about this last night. When I do go to put the jackets together, I'm going to do a video, and we'll post it on here so that you will have access to it if you decide to make a jacket, or if you're making one and you have questions. Hopefully it will help you out. But I don't want to dwell on the jackets because I've got so many other neat things I want to do. I want to show you guys. So Saturday we're starting the modern sampler. So I will be showing you how to make all 12 blocks, or 8 blocks, I'm sorry. There's 3 blocks of each of 12. And we'll probably get a couple blocks done every day. So it should go pretty fast. And then I'm working on some other new projects that hopefully we'll be ready to share and do. Because I have to get serious about prepping for the shows I'm scheduled for starting in September, the first weekend of September. And I will not be having a class, or I won't be doing a live on a week from Saturday. On the 6th of June, I'm teaching a class up in the Bay Area. The jacket patterns, they're ready. They are on the website. I think Laura started printing them a few days ago. So they are ready. It's called the jacket block package, but it's the instructions on how to disassemble the sweatshirt, and how to make all the blocks, and then how to lay them out and use fillers and all that. So it is ready. And of course, if I decide, when I get each one of these made, if I decide that I really like them, I will order fabrics to kit them. And then that pattern will have very detailed instructions on it. Won't be a your artwork type thing. It'll be this, obviously you're always free to do it however you want, but this one, if I kit one, it will be real super specific as far as make this block, put it here, cut a piece this big, to fill in or whatever. But this time I really wanted to stress, give you the basics and let you guys do your thing, make it your artwork. So the reason I'm doing this particular block is because I want to show you when you get up to the top, sometimes it gets a little confusing. I don't want you to be confused. And the thing about doing a sweatshirt jacket is if you have an old sweatshirt, I looked in my bin, I have a couple that I wore quite a bit just as a sweatshirt. And one has some stains on it. And so I thought, perfect. I'll just make a jacket out of it, because who's going to see the stains? And then if you use from your stash, you got a free designer jacket. And that's always a fun bonus. And then you feel, if it doesn't come out or if it's not exactly what you wanted, you learned the process and it didn't cost you anything. I always like getting things for free. See, and I'm putting light over dark. Don't forget, push that fabric up just a little bit further, past the edge of the dark fabrics underneath. Someplace here it should show. You can see it goes just, the light color goes just past the blue. Because in paper or foundation piecing, your seam allowance is always going to go towards the piece you're adding. There's no press to the light side or press to the dark side in paper or foundation piecing. So that's why I say when you're putting a light color over a dark color, just push the light color just a thread or two past the edge of the dark color underneath, and then that way when you open it up you won't get a shadow. And if you're using a light colored fabric and you think that your printing on the foundation might shine or show through, what I do when I first start with the light colored fabric is I'll put it down on a white background and make sure it's not going to show. And if it doesn't show, fine. If it does, as you go along, just use some sharp scissors after you put that piece on and just snip out the little bit of printing, and you won't know that you cut your foundation. And you don't have to worry about it showing through. It does tell you to do that on the general instruction page that comes in every package. I know, whoever reads that page. Yeah, I only have the one jacket pattern right now. It's kind of the create your own artwork pattern. Anything else I put on will be a very, very specific layout, so that your jacket will end up exactly like mine. Yeah, and in this, the pattern that's available right now, it does show you how I laid out everything for the batik jacket. So if you want to make one like that, just follow the layout and you'll be good to go. almost to the top. Thank you. I didn't think this through. I have all the golds on one side, all the silvers on the other. So, I mean, I guess it's okay. It's gonna be okay, huh? Okay, I got them even. Now I'm just scooting it up just a skosh because I don't want that red showing. Well, either one, the red or the blue. So I'm looking forward to this class I'm going to be teaching up in Union City, in the East Bay, Southern East Bay, I guess you'd say. We're going to be doing, I didn't even think about that. We are going to be doing the Lone Star, the Migrating Lone Star. So this is going to be the border on that quilt. Let's see, 1819 is the little piece. And when I center this one, when I'm setting it, I look down here at the bottom and I kind of make sure that it kind of makes a square there. You know, it's even, but the point's even between the two seam lines. Just kind of helps you know that you've got it lined up, centered. Hi, Sandy. We're going to start the Modern Sampler on Saturday. And then we'll put this piece 20 on, and then we'll extend it. And when I put the bigger triangle on, I just put the point of the fabric I'm adding. I just line it up with the seam line underneath. And that centers it perfectly. That's a little trick when you're doing the flying geese. Press this one open, and then we're going to add the next section of foundation. Now you could do it separately and then sew them together, but you'd have an unnecessary seam line. So now we're going to take this, we'll turn this with the foundation side up, and we're going to take the next piece of foundation, and I hope I can see this, and we're just going to line up the lines, lining that line up, lining this line up, and lining the sides up. And I just put a couple of pins in to hold it in place. You could stitch across it, but this one, as soon as you add the next piece, you're going to be holding it together. So now we're going to just pretend like this is just one solid piece going on up. My next piece is number 1 over here. So we'll just line it up with the bottom of that space. We'll just leave, whoops, I gotta move that pin. I do not want to cut across the pin. I'll just put it in at an angle. And I could actually trim before I even set this on there. We'll fold this back, and we're gonna cut like this, just like as if this was one continuous piece of fabric, of foundation. We're going to turn it over. We're going to set our piece right there. Grab a pin, put a like that, and then we're going to take it over here, just making sure that those everything matches. This is space number 1, so we're going to just stitch on the line. Come back here. Take out my pins. Open my, set those stitches. And then we're going to come over here and trim for piece number 2 on the new section. Fold that back, trim that away, open that up, and of course part of that side seam is missing. If you wanted to wait to trim, oops, just like that, put a pin in it. Just make sure that you keep that line lined up. And then I like to trim away. Let me take the pin out first. And I like to trim away this extra down here below where we sewed. Like that. And we're good. Now we'll press this open and we'll just keep on going. Oh, you showed him my message, huh? He is pretty special. So I'll show you this one. If we had not added the foundation to continue, you would have had a seam line partially where space number 2 is. Instead of being the one big triangle, you would have had 2 small ones, and then you would have had to match up your seam line. So just extending your foundation makes it, you can't tell there's an extension there. But here, of course, I cut away part of it. So if you would have just done, well, here, we'll look. This is what the top would have looked like. You would have had this little piece of the white fabric, and then you would have, like we started down here, piece number 2 is a little piece. So you would have had this seam line here. So that just saved that. So that was what I wanted to make sure you got to see when making the migrating geese sections. And then I'm thinking, let's put the back of the patriotic quilt together. So I can show you, and you're gonna watch as I try to decide how I'm gonna do it. But all parts I want to put on here. So I do know this morning I did, or last night, whenever, I get the front pieces out from under it. We'll lay this out nice and flat. I want to get it done up to the yoke. This is up here at the top is where I'm going to do the spiked border, I think. And so I want to finish covering the sweatshirt from the top of this piece all the way out to the edge and all of this. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is, and I keep throwing things on the floor. What I want to do is put these stars down here, like that. So I'm going to have to fill in, and this is where you can get very creative. Make sure this is all laid out. I have this centered. I have this piece centered on the sweatshirt. There's my center mark with the center line. And I came down and I added this piece here. This is a filler piece. And the bottom of this section is actually curved. It was designed to give, what's the word? To bring it in, to give it like a waistline or a little shape, flattering shape. So I have the center of this matched with the center line down the back. So now I have to decide how I'm going to fill this in. I want to put a strip of dark fabric down both sides to set this centerpiece off. So what I'll do is I will take from my dark fabric, and I'm thinking I'm going to continue with this dark fabric, which is right down here. So I'm going to cut 2 strips, and let's see how long they need to be. From the top up there, from the top down here, needs to be 22 inches. So I will cut, I think I just want it to fit. I'll cut a piece about 1.5 inches wide. I only want it to finish at about 1 inch. I don't want it to be too big. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of this. Let me see if I can find the straight of grain. There we are. And that's going to be long enough. Oh, perfect. So we're going to cut 2 strips 1.5 inches by whatever that length is. I'll worry about cutting it off later. Okay. And I do trim. I'm going to make it 1 3/4 because, as I showed you guys the other day, when I'm doing narrow strips, I like to cut them a little wider, sew them on, then cut them down to what they need to be to finish. So there we go. And now we're going to take this piece off the jacket, off the sweatshirt. And we're just going to sew those strips on. And I don't even cut them down to the right length till I get it sewn on and back on the sweatshirt, because I want to make sure that it covers what I want it to cover. So now we'll just take this, and I'm going to put it up a little further. Just nothing wrong with having a little extra fabric. And set my stitch width to 1/4 inch and get sewn. I keep kicking my pedal away. There we go. And then, you know me and my threads. Okay, so then I'm going to press this. And press it so the seam, press it that way, the seam allowance towards the outside. Okay, and then then when I trim now, I don't need that big of a ruler. There's my other one. I just keep the line like at the bottom. Keep this straight across. And the same at the top. Keep that nice and straight. And then I'm going to add the strip to the other side. Oh, I think that sets that off good. Yes. Keep that. Concentrating here. When does Ben get out of school? Laura, if you're still there. And then we'll press this one. Oh, threads. I do know that when I get this on the sweatshirt, I filled in everything from up here at the top all the way down to out both sides, that then there'll be a strip across the top here where we'll join it with whatever I decide to put on the yoke up at the top. Now we'll put it back on. I need to mark the center here. Match that with the bottom. my pen. Lay this out. I'm just kind of trying to get an idea of what's going to go where, so I'm not pinning it all down because I'll have to take it off again. Anyway, I think I'm going to put the stars about like that on both sides. We'll make sure they're even. I want, I stand up if you can see how I have them. I want my bottom to be dark. I do believe. Maybe. Yeah, let me, want to see, maybe for fill, maybe we want to do something now. See, this is where you have fun. And if you have all your blocks already made, no, I don't want to do that there. I have a better idea for that. I think that maybe we'll just do, where's my sleeve one? How I was thinking maybe how I did stripes on my sleeve. I might do a couple of stripes like this. Whoops, guess you can't see. Stripes on the side, you know, stripes down this way, just a couple. And then maybe the bottom I will just leave all one of the white prints, not just plain white, but I have something like this. Now we could just kind of play and see if we like that, if that's going to show up enough like that, if that's too much. I think if I do the stripes up here and then we'll do a dark strip across here to separate from the stripes and the star fabric. So that means I need to figure out where this is going to go. We'll do this white background star. We'll do that across the bottom about, let's measure this, 2 inches. So we'll cut it 2.5 inches, and it needs to be about 9 inches. We'll cut it at 10. Never hurts to have a little extra. We'll cut a 2.5 by 10. We'll cut 2 of those. So this is how we're going to fill in. So I will cut a strip, one strip at 2.5 inches wide. And then we're going to cut it by 10 inches. Open this up so I have it doubled. And cut off my selvage. And then we're going to cut it 10 inches long. Okay, so I'll bring this back over here. We'll just do one side for now because I want both sides to be exactly the same. Okay, I need a little filler here. Let's see if I bring this all the way over to the side. Okay, so I'm going to put a strip down here, about 2 inches wide. I will do that, keep that for over there. And there. So we'll do a strip 2 inches wide down there. So I have the rest of this. We'll just do, I don't really even need to cut it, but I will. So I'm going to bring my little Lemoyne star block over here. And I always cut a little long. And we'll sew right down here. My needle's making a funny noise. And then I trim off that extra. I guess you would call this improv sewing. But to me, this is always the most fun part. Okay, so that's going to be like that. So now I can fold this, and I'm going to center it on this bottom strip. I like to give myself a little extra on both ends. It gives you a little leeway for moving it one way or the other. And you know that you'll have plenty for covering the space you want to cover. When we're done here, I'm going to replace my needle. Press this open. Okay, so this was my bottom. It's going to go like this over here. Make sure that's even with the bottom. Okay, so now what I need to do is take my ruler and mark the angle of that centerpiece. Here's my water-soluble marker. So I'm going to match my ruler with the angle of this piece. Bring it down. And then I'm going to mark that, and then I have to add a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Let's see, do I have that moved? I might have to move this. I made sure it was at the bottom, but not all the way over to the edge. Okay, there we go. Do it just like that. Nice thing about water-soluble marker. Okay, then I'm going to add I'm going to add a 1/2 inch because I have to take a 1/4 inch off of there. So add a 1/2 inch. Okay, is that not going to cover? Oh dear. Back to, let's take the watermarks off. And where's my water? I don't have. Not paying attention. Okay, because I can always add to my other side. So we need to make sure we have plenty here, and I can add a little more on this side. And now I got to dry that. You guys are getting to see me at my finest. Hi, Sherry. Oh, I missed the part. He passed to 3rd grade. Oh, I was pretty sure he got out this week, but I wasn't sure what day. Okay, so we're going to try this again and ignore my markings that are on there. This is, okay, and then remember it's going to go in. I've got to take a 1/4 inch seam allowance off for this side and a 1/4 inch off for the other side. So this is where I want to cut it. This line right here. Yay, my big 3rd grader. A 6th grader and a 3rd grader. Whew. Okay. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I will get my spray bottle and get rid of that, all those blue lines. Okay, and then I gotta trim this side, and then we'll add a strip down there. I have more here. We'll add a strip down here. Then I'm going to have to do this just like this to the other side with the blue star. And I will make sure before I sew everything in place that both stars or the pieces are exact mirrors of each other, so it will all be centered. Making the blocks is just, what do I want to say? Ho-hum work. This is the part that's always so much fun because you're never really sure until as you go, you figure it out as you go. It makes it a lot of fun. Okay, so I got to get a spray bottle and get rid of those blue lines, but this is basically what it's gonna be like there. So what I want to do is I'm going to mark this spot right here, the top of this. I am going to add a dark strip across here to separate this. I'm going to add stripes on both sides. So I'll want them to come down so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this piece, and then we'll make the stripes, not attach them yet to this. I'll make the stripes, I'll attach them to this, and then we'll attach the full part to each side. I hope that makes sense. So now I got to decide what I want to do for the stripes. What colors, if I want to do red and white, or I'm thinking maybe the lighter blues. I've got a lot of dark on this with the sleeve and all that, and a lot of red. I'm thinking I'm going to do a lighter blue. What do I have left? I have these. Just remember that every stripe I put in here I have to have enough for both sides. Someplace I would love to fussy cut a couple of these out. I know I have more of all this. Oh, I have a lot more of this one, I believe. Yeah. Oh, and that's double, so yeah, perfect. We'll do a stripe of, is that double? Yeah. We can do a stripe of that and a stripe of this, I think. Yeah. And then the light color for that, let's do, I have a lot. Look over here. I found some, a bunch of this one. I have a lot of this one. I know I have a lot of that one. I don't want to do just that one. Come on. Oh, here it is. So I never throw anything away until I'm totally done. Never know what you're going to need to dig out. Excuse me. Okay, so I will cut. We'll do. I need to get a length, a measurement for length, for our maximum length. Up to there. My big ruler. Okay, so we need to do, I do not like this ruler. We need to cut it. We need to make it about 14 inches long. We can do that. So I will cut the first one, 14 inches. 12, and of course, I don't usually work in this small of a space, so this is driving me crazy. My cutting table has a sewing machine that is been taken apart, and all the parts and stuff are are all over the table. So, okay, what did I say? 14 inches. Right there is 14 inches. So we're going to gauge everything else off of that. And I believe this was 1.25 inches wide. Yep. Okay, so now I need that one, and we'll cut 2 strips about 1.25 inches. One for one side and one for this side. Oops. And then I want to cut this one 14 inches, same as this. Keep that for later. Okay, let's start sewing blue and white strips. Maybe I should throw in maybe make it red, white, and blue. See why I'm never, what's the word? I'm not comfortable traditional piecing. I mean, I can do it, and I can do it perfectly, or close. Not perfectly, but I'm not ashamed of it. But I have to pay too much attention. Okay. And we'll press this. I'm going to press my seam open just because it's not like we're doing sewing it to anything else, so I would just as soon have no bulk. I think my wool pressing mat should be here today or tomorrow. I'm so anxious to get it. Okay, so now on the other side, now I really have to decide, am I going to go red, white, and blue? I think I'm just going to do all blue. I think I have enough fabric. Where did I put my others? I have some big chunks. That's just those 2. I do talk to myself a lot, you guys. What's down here? Lots more. Do I have any strips, or is everything cut? I think it's all cut. Okay, that's not gonna work. What else do we have down here? There's more of that. I really made a big dent in this batch of fabrics. It's that one now. I guess we'll just have to make this do. That's for that side. How long is this? Nope. Not enough. Nope. Okay, what am I gonna do? I guess we'll have to maybe dig out a red. This is all pretty much scraps by now. I have that, but I don't like that. I mean, I like it, but not for this. I think we'll use, let me see what this looks, let's see what this is gonna look like. Oh, I forgot I had this. Oh, I have a lot more. What am I talking about? We'll use this one. We'll do another strip of the white, and then we'll do this. Yeah. Okay. I got it figured out. We'll add another strip of the white. We need another, and I know I got lots of this one. So we'll just do this. But this is how you figure out how to fill in places that where you aren't putting a block. I could have put just a plain one big hunk of any of the fabrics, but that wouldn't have been nearly as much fun. And I think what I find really interesting on these is when you do stuff like this, all this piecing and filling, everywhere you look on your jacket, there's a neat element. Now on the one I did in the batik, because my background fabric is so busy, I did leave a lot of just background fabric. It in itself is a great filler because it's got many different colors that are in it. So it was busy enough. But I don't normally, I mean, this is a piece of art, so play around with it. And if you don't like it, use it if you make a section and you don't like it, cut it up and use it in another part. And let's do this. And you don't have to make everything symmetrical. I am doing my back symmetrical because the piece I started with, the pieced, is symmetrical, so I just that sort of sets the tone. But now the fronts are going to be, the two fronts are going to be different from each other. So, see now, this is like when you do a long piece and it stretches, I want to make sure that it's going to be even. So I sewed a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I should have an inch left all the way down, and make that straight. Got a curve in the seam. Okay, we're good. Now the next one we cut at 1.25 inches. So I will cut 2. That's from my other side. And I'm going to throw this little piece away. And as we go towards the outside, it will get shorter and shorter, but I'm going to leave it all at about the same length. Why not? Okay. Let's sew this strip together. And I don't know how many strips I'm going to need to fill this in. I'll put it after I sew this one on. I will put it up there and we'll see how we're going. So this. Okay, so no, I wish I did. I don't know which fabric you're talking about, but the only ones I sell are the ones. Whoa. The only ones I sell are the ones used here. I do have those fabrics, but the rest of these were from my personal stash. Okay, so see up here, I have enough to go out to the sleeve. So now I got plenty here. So now I can start maybe using some shorter pieces to fill in the rest of this. Guys, I hate threads. Yeah, so we'll fill in the rest of this. I'm going to put a little mark here. We'll go up about that far. About that far. Just because I'm getting to the bottom of some of these, so that way I know I'll have enough. And I'm going to quit plugging this in every day because I'm doing nothing but tripping on it. That's the selvage. So we'll put this piece. There's my 2 marks. So see, it's like we're making another fabric. think these strips have been laying around a while. I hate it when they fray. Come on. And I will have to steam this to get it all perfectly straight. And I already know what I'm going to bind this jacket with. I have the red, white, and blue. It's a real fine stripe. Although I get so angry, I like to curve at the front neck and at the bottom front, two edges. So I like to use bias binding. And this fabric, part of this line that I have, has this stripe. And I love it. But it's already printed on the diagonal. So if I made bias, I wouldn't have, the stripes. I like them going diagonally. So I'm going to have to figure out if I'm going to do squared off neckline or exactly what I'm going to do. So I do have a couple other red, white, and blue stripe fabrics, but they're a bigger stripe. They may look okay. I'll have to audition them and see what I think. Got that straight. That looks pretty good. Okay, now let's see. I used that one. I think that one's not quite long enough yet, but I have the I don't think this one's long enough yet. I tried that one. One more. I just need one more. One more. Oh, I wish. I love this one. What else? This will be long enough. Kind of working out where, okay, we got a little pattern going there too. We got dark, lighter, lighter. So that works for me. Okay, so let's get that edge straight. We will cut 2 1/4 inch strips. I think I only need 1 strip cut. This is full width of the fabric. Okay, here's my piece. Yeah, I like that because the stripe going outside the center section of blocks is a real dark, so this, we're keeping the theme going here. Dark out to light. So you get these secondary things you don't even really think about. was looking for lining for the jacket today, and I really wanted something, obviously, red, white, and blue, patriotic, but I like the silky type fabrics for the lining. It makes it easier to slip your jacket on and off than cotton, and I'm having a really hard time finding something, and you know, it's really weird. I don't always recommend quilting fabrics from Joann's, but this is not a quilting fabric I want, and it's really hard to find a store that carries anything other than cottons. So I'm having trouble. I need to put more water in here. I'm having trouble finding what I want for lining. If worse comes to worse, I have white satin and I have red satin. Not crazy about thinking about using red, but okay, so it's going to go like that. And of course it's going to be cut. Whoops, I guess it's going to go like that. So now I'm just going to do one wider piece of this to fill in this last little bit. So I'm going to say, I'm going to cut a piece, it's down here. I'm going to cut a piece about 3 inches wide, so I have plenty. So you think, oh, this is from Hoffman. Love going down to Hoffman to the warehouse and shopping and getting to see the new stuff that'll be out next year. Okay, that nice. About 3 inches should do it. I will hope anyway. And while it's still sitting there, we'll see about how long of a piece we need. I'm going to say to about there. This is very much kind of on the fly. Impromptu sewing. I guess I don't need to cut the selvage. I have that placed right. I better put it back on there and make sure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're going to have a strip across the bottom. Definitely have to see what's wrong with my machine. It's sewing the best it's sewn in a long time, but I'm thinking I need a new needle. It's time. I've sewn about a week or so on this needle, and you know, I sew a lot. And think this one I'm going to sew it to the one side. I mean, press it. There we go. That looks like a piece you'd want to throw away normally. Oh, these threads. Okay. I want to make sure my seams are nice and straight. Now, this has got to do a little figuring here. We're going to go like that. And remember, I think I'm going to put a red stripe of fabric across here. So we want to mark where this bottom block is, like that. And then I need to get my ruler. And I want to mark right here and right here. And then we're going to draw a line across there for cutting. I would use my heat erasable markers, but I'm doing so much pressing as I'm going that I'd probably lose half of them. Okay, so there. Now I want to add a stripe of the red one of my red fabrics. And we'll cut like that. Turn that over. And I'm going to sew on the other side so I keep my seam allowances going in the proper directions. Press this. Okay. So now this piece here, I have marked my seam line. So I know that, let me trim just this little teeny bit off here. Make this straight. So I know it's going to go just like this. It will be moved over a little bit, but so I just want to take this, put right sides together, and you want, remember you have to leave so that this line goes properly. You want right here where this line of fabric comes like this, and this line of fabric, You want it to meet at a quarter, right, this point right here you want to be where your 1/4 inch seam is. I need to pull it this way just a skosh. There we go. And you can always trim it. That's, well, that's why I always leave things a little extra large. Now I'm anxious to get this one done. Yay. So there we have our seam, and I will get rid of all those markings. So now we want to make sure it's all gonna fit. Looks good to me. Ooh, I think that's gonna look cool. So, and remember, everything I cut the same for the other side. And as you go, you can measure all your pieces here so that they're the same for the other side. So I'm going to unpin this off of the jacket or the sweatshirt, and I'm going to flip this right over. And down here at the bottom, well, first of all, we need to make sure we have enough at the top. Like that. And I think we want to move it over. So when we open this up, we know we've got enough down here at the bottom. Good way to do that is we'll put a pin in where our seam allowance or our stitching would be. Just to make sure when you open it up, oh, you're going to have plenty. Okay. Take those out. Move it up just a skosh. Okay, and then I am going to pin in a few places. Just, I rarely pin, but when I do, it's for a reason. And this one is to keep everything right where I have it right now. Okay, looking good to me. And I don't backstitch because I'm going to end up cutting off the end of the, the fabric up there. So backstitching wouldn't do me any good. Flip that one up. Okay, I want to press, I got a mess here. I want to press this one, well, I want to press this seam allowance up, and this one was down. There we go. And now we're gonna, oh, look at that fabric we made. Isn't that cool? Okay, and I'm gonna press this seam allowance this way. I gotta do some cleaning here. This is driving me crazy. And I will get rid of the marks. Okay. Line the center up. I don't know why I didn't mark that. Seam to seam. Here's my center. Get my pins, get a couple pins. Here's my center mark. Okay, even with the bottom lined up in the center. Put a pin in it. Smooth this out. There we go. Got our center at the top matched. Up like that. Smooth this out. Get rid of all those threads that you know drive me crazy. And then just pin around the bottom. Look at that. There's a side. And after we get, it covers all the sweatshirt. That's the most important part. I'm not going to trim this yet. I want to make the other side exactly the same. And then we'll sew that on. And then we'll lay it all out. Pin it close to, you can feel where the edge is, pin close to the edge, then turn it over and trim all the extra all the way around. But there's part of the back. I think that's going to look pretty cool. And then of course we'll quilt it. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the other half now that you've seen how we do this. And I'm going to try to get the whole thing done. Don't promise, but Saturday we're going to work on this, on our modern sampler. Grab your scraps, whatever, and we're going to get it done. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope to see you Saturday. noon Pacific time, and I'll show you the finished jacket or where I am on the jacket. I'll keep you updated, posted. But I think you've seen now how to do the fillers. And if your jacket is smaller than mine, you won't have as much filler to put in. Um, you might not have room for the star if you have a small jacket. If you have a larger jacket, you just have to add more stripes and a little more background over here. But that's how we do it. You just play with it till the whole thing is covered. So, hope you have a great rest of your day, a great Friday, and I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks for watching. And remember, you can always go back and watch this later. It will be on in about 24 hours. It'll be viewable on the website or the YouTube channel. So we'll see you Saturday. Thanks. Bye-bye.